We've got nothing else for Brad, have we? So good afternoon everyone, we'll reconvene again. So this afternoon we have Chris Jennings who assisted with a review of submissions to the district plan and prepared a report, followed by James Sutherland of Heritage New Zealand. So Brad, we've got no further questions for you, so we'll let you get on with your day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. So Chris, we've read your report and we've got a few questions arising not only from the report but the way that it follows through in the plan, and a couple of other things we're wanting to talk with you. Is there anything, and we'll take it as read, is there anything you want to raise before we start with questions to you? Okay, I'll throw it open to the panel for questions then. Glenys?
Sorry, can you hear me? Sorry, I think my mic cut out.
Oh no, I think we haven't been speaking. Can you hear okay?
I can hear you fine, yeah. No, I don't have any questions. Yeah, I have to apologise, I'm on the excavation at the Lawrence Chinese camp right now, so things are a bit hectic and there might be some traffic and excavation sounds in the background.
Thank you for the warning.
So I think most of my questions are around the potential removal of some of those sites that are Māori archaeological sites or potential Māori archaeological sites, and the consequences of removing them from the schedule, and perhaps actually to start with, if you could help me understand what the qualifying characteristic is for presence on the schedule versus removal, particularly for those ones that are, like there was the one at Tūtaro, the one at Mataura Falls, and what's the qualifying factor? Is it that you would need to know
I'll tell you exactly what the factor is.
Yeah, thank you. So I thought that's what you would say. Was one of them one of the removed sites was a previous find site? Was that? But then there was some uncertainty around it. And then that leads us also to thinking about a relationship with the alert layer, if that were to happen.
Yep.
So I guess the corollary to it is that in your professional view it doesn't meet the criteria for those two sites, and therefore should not be on that register. Tina, in her Section 42A report, and this is a question for Tina, what happens if mana whenua come back saying, no, we want it left on the list?
If needed.
And
So
what,
it's a cautionary approach.
and it's something you do need to have a think about before Thursday, because the question that will come up on Thursday is how should these sites be either recognised or provided or protected in the district plan? Where can they sit, given that the mana whenua don't want to have individual sites listed? So don't need a response to that today, but something to think about. It will be an issue talking about it on Thursday.
So thinking about this, what I wondered, Mr. Jennings, was whether we're talking about a vulnerability for Māori archaeological sites that's different from European archaeological sites, just because of their nature. Is the situation that we've got here to do with a lack of investigation in terms of finding the evidential basis to list them? Is that, whose responsibility is it for that investigation to occur? So this presents the challenge that we've got if, in order to protect under the district plan, something has to have the evidence and get onto the schedule. Do you have experience with how other districts have tackled this same problem? Because we've got a low level from your paper, which was very helpful, a low level of identified archaeological sites in this district. Have you seen approaches in other places dealing with this? So when you were saying that the early maps indicate a general area, you were telling us that to let us know that if we did do an alert layer, there'd be a way to put a line on a map around a general space.
Essentially, yeah.
Can I just interrupt the thought there for a moment? This is very useful. I'm just wondering if one of the support team we have is able to email James Sutherland if he's not watching it online. Could he just have drawn to his attention that we are talking to Chris at this stage and he may find it useful? Thank you.
And would you normally, ordinarily expect that because we're talking about Māori archaeology, Ngāi Tahu area of significance to Ngāi Tahu, that any of this work would require that collaboration?
Keith, I just don't think your mic's on.
It wasn't on, thank you. So, Chris, as part of the submissions from Heritage New Zealand, your report has highlighted that they actually have a wider range of matters that they can have regard to in looking at sites, and I'm thinking of their further submission that they lodged with Transpower, I think it was, where they support the scheduling of archaeological sites, but noted that things such as visual values are not taken into account under the Archaeological Authority process. Can you just expand on your thoughts there, please? That came from Heritage New Zealand, so it's actually considered on page 10 of your report.
Sorry, I don't have any of that in front of me. Heritage New Zealand has noted that visual values aren't concerned, visual considerations aren't.
Yes, and I understand that you had a contrary view.
What did I say?
No, and the officer, I think maybe it was Tina then in her report that said that the Act, or Transpower I think it was, yes, Transpower said that the Act in considering archaeological sites referred to other matters. So Heritage New Zealand could have regard to visual impacts if it was of a mind. So any of the, either Chris or Tina wanting to add to that?
That was
And
Sorry, mate,
what
you-
is your view on that, Tina?
Um, just in regards to the Hidden Valley track and the hut floor and fireplace, is there anything visual to be seen there that could actually be supported by bringing it into the schedule? So you feel it is worth investigating further?
Yeah, the whole place.
The area. I was just saying, so it is worth investigating further by the council.
Do you want to respond?
Either Tina or Chris.
Yes, unfortunately.
I just
We
also.
might be able to come back. We might be able to come back with a response on that topic.
I also note too on some of the tracks, the water race tracks, there is cycle ways, mountain bike cycleways on them now, so it could have an effect on them to bring this into the schedule.
If someone was constructing new cycle trails, that might impact on.
So is there any joy in bringing Chris back online? Welcome back, Chris. We lost you there for a few minutes. Any further questions of Chris?
So Can Chris answer the question, or?
Yeah, repeat it. He didn't hear it.
Oh, you didn't hear the question. So, Chris, you believe that there is support that GDC could consider further investigation into that site of the Hidden Valley track?
If this
It looks like a Disney movie, Frozen. Tina, while waiting, at page of
Sorry,
Chris.
trying to find more internet. Hi, sorry.
We can see you and hear you now, Chris. Or at least I can.
Where did I get to? You could look into that site, but I'm not sure if there'd be a lot of value in just investigating it for the sake of investigating it. I'm not sure.
Thank you. That does answer the question.
Tina, at page 17 of Chris's report, which deals with a submission from Southland District of a general nature in terms of reviewing the scheduled sites, and it says also in review site buffers. Has any work been done on that?
Sorry, review sites buffers. No, so at the moment, that's what we talked about before, about reviewing the site extent. Southland District Council had some concerns about the accuracy of the GPS coordinates, and they thought they were too exact, which could lead to mistakes, but the GPS coordinates is from when Chris visited those sites, so we know that they are correct. So yeah, they had some concern about the pinpointing the different sites, and the being able to make them even smaller was that in relation to if we or if the panel wanted to undertake further investigation of the sites to try and make them smaller. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for?
So I think mine was in a similar vein, and I think what you've answered is that because Chris has been on site, the GPS coordinates are more accurate than the NZAA ArcSite references, which might not have been verified on the ground recently.
Sorry, the ArcSite data has been updated by me since doing that project, so they should be consistent.
Right. Okay. So we can have confidence, because our question was around buffers, and I had a similar sort of idea. Do you need a radius around if there's some uncertainty about where stuff is? And Tina just said, because you'd been on site, there's a high level of certainty about where stuff is. Yeah.
We didn't map it or anything, so what we did was essentially just put a GPS coordinate down there saying that's where it is. So the extent of the site itself hasn't been mapped. So if you wanted more certainty around the kind of extent of it, you would probably need to go out and try and define that, but that's even quite difficult to do unless you're doing a full-on excavation. So a buffer zone would probably be the best approach in that regard.
And what kind of radius does it differ site to site?
Yeah, I mean, every site's different pretty much, so it would be hard to tell unless you really like when we did the kind of update for you guys a few years ago, it wasn't a deep dive into it. You could do further research to try and get some more certainty. I'm not sure how much you'd get from historical sources, but it would just, yeah, it'd be a matter of trying to just define an area out with a few kind of targeted test pits maybe. But I think, yeah, maybe there might be a bit of research on earlier maps to do, but it's not certain. So the best I think you can hope would just be a kind of small general area buffer zone, and anybody who wanted to develop or work in that area would need to be aware of that. It's the same with every archaeological site really. Like if there's a site nearby, then anybody working in that area should take into consideration that there might be more subsurface evidence nearby.
Chris, where are those maps of the Tutorel site?
I'd have to fish them up for you. I've got them somewhere. I think it might have been one of the earlier survey office plans, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But I do have access to them to send them through, or I could at least email through the name or the title of the map.
It might be handy
Like,
for the panel
I did find
to have access to those.
Yeah, I found them and I geo-referenced them, so I should be able to give you a good indication of exactly where they're marked on the map in the real world.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Your mic's still on.
Probably my last one is that you've signalled that an alert layer might need to be developed in consultation between Hokanui-Ruranga, HNZPT and ES. And so I'm just wondering about, is there a time frame or a planned process for this to occur? Is this a method that should be picked up in the plan? At the moment, I guess we just don't have a lot of certainty around that. So anything you can offer there would be helpful.
No further questions? No. All right. Thank you, Chris, and what a trying circumstances at your end, but the message has got through. Thank you kindly. We also have James Sutherland online from Heritage New Zealand. James, we've read through the statement that was circulated. Before we ask any questions, is there anything further that you want to add? And I see you've got some other people in the room with you as well, I guess, to help you along.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get the last name of Rebecca. All right, so as I said, we've read your statement of evidence, and you said there's something further you want to add. Thank you for that. Can you please email a copy through of what you've said so it's part of our physical record as well as our recorded record online? Do panel members have any questions of Heritage New Zealand?
I'm going to jump out.
That was Mr. Jennings. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.
My question was around the matter of interiors and whether, so I think HNZPT have put on the table that interiors should be included in the schedule and that this is a different position to what we have in the Section 42A. So I just wanted to double check, has there been movement towards the Section 42A position on that point?
They would also be identified as part of the registration that's on your system, wouldn't they?
There's a exterior and interior room by room description of the structure.
So with the registered sites that are listed in the Gore District Plan, do any of them have such identification in them? Because the flow on from that is that we're adding a new item to the plan without giving the affected landowner the opportunity of commenting. I guess if it's probably appropriate for that to be checked and for the panel then to have a look at where to from here, if at all. Tina. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that is the point, is that we'd need to be certain of the evidential basis for including the interiors. So if you did do a double check to add to the advice that we've got from Dr. McEwen, that would be helpful.
And if you're able to come back to us Thursday at the latest, please, that would fit our timing. first. I've got a question of Tina looking at rule HHR3. Now, HHR3 is for additions and alterations and additions for hazard mitigation for buildings that are in Schedule 2. And it says it's a controlled activity, and the activity status where compliance is not achieved, restricted discretionary. I'm wondering what triggers a restricted discretionary activity, because if you read the rule, it says that the alterations are for the purpose of hazard mitigation. So if you're doing them for any other purpose, does that then trigger a restricted discretionary rule, or is it the A, B and C listed in the rule, earthquake strengthening, flood, fire protection, if there's non-compliance with that? It's just the rule does not fit together well.
No, I think we've covered all the ground I wanted to cover today.
Okay, so back to Heritage New Zealand. Under your Act, and we're having a discussion about this morning, and there's a note in the district plan, part of which is being amended to read so that, or recommended, if there is a reasonable cause to suspect any works may encounter archaeology, an archaeological assessment should be undertaken by a consultant archaeologist to determine whether an archaeological authority is required to be obtained. Does that come from your Act or from some other provision that has standing? So the wording saying an assessment should be undertaken by a consultant archaeologist, is that in your Act?
I might just pass over to our archaeologist, Rebecca, to answer.
So is that the landowner who has to pay for that? Thank you. So I think that's all the questions we have of Heritage New Zealand.
I've just realised we had a conversation about the risk definition, and I understand the risk definition has been changed based on the HNZPT submission, and that brought the definition of risk in from the Building Act.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the conversation we've been having is that the Building Act definition is very precise around harm to people and risk of injury and death and to critical infrastructure, but doesn't mention buildings or property or other kinds of infrastructure. So we've alerted the Section 42A officer, both of them actually, one for the Historic Heritage chapter and the Notable Trees, that have both pulled this definition in, that it might be missing these elements of buildings and property and other kinds of infrastructure. And so just making you aware that that's a live dialogue at the moment, and if there's anything you would like to contribute to that.
Thank you for that from the team from Heritage New Zealand. I appreciate your input. Yeah, do come back to us just checking whether there's anything on the register in terms of internals. If there's anything else that we want feedback on, we'll issue it as a minute. So thank you for your attendance. Thank you kindly.
Thank you for having us.
Now we'll turn to Tina, who's going to give us a live demonstration of how the hidden layer, as far as we're concerned, works in the plan, please.
Tina, I think you're on mute.
Yes, we can.
Sorry.
Can you expand it so it's all the screen? No, I'm told. All right,
It,
you'll just...
it is all on my screen.
Okay, that's all right. We'll just have to zoom in. What I'm doing...
There it is. Pukero's there. There we go. And then we got Pukera.
Okay, so when I go to the full district plan on the council's website with all the chapters, etc., and go down to the bottom of the page, it refers me to the ArcView maps. And I'm just going into those maps now, and the information layers do not show up on that way of accessing the maps.
Okay, so you're on the proposed district plan at the top?
Yep. Information layers.
Yep, so you need to
Oh, now
drop
that-
down,
no,
so there's
now-
a little arrow.
Okay, yeah, previously those haven't been showing up when I've done it.
Oh, okay,
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah,
you've got to tick that wee box.
so yes,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
important
I
to
did
drop
tick it.
down
Yeah.
the menu.
Yeah, all right, no, we got there now, thank you.
Excellent.
And it may be because it's the last one in the list that when you bring it up on the screen, it still sits as the last one on the list and you don't see anything below it when you tick on
Yeah.
the icons. I think that's
Because-
what's happened.
Yeah, because the information layers, we asked for them to not be put on automatically because the map would get really, really crowded. So we wanted the maps to show the actual district plan layers, you know, as the default, and then the information layers shouldn't come on because it would be confusing
Well,
for plan users if we put them on straight away. At least that was the thinking.
yeah, one of the information layers is streams and rivers, but there are rules relating to streams and rivers, so why are they on the information layer, not on the district plan, on the other layers?
Yeah, so the stream and river layers, they're also included in an appendix to the plan. And the concern was because the location of them is scaled out. So if we put them in and people zoomed in too far, the actual location might not completely line up with where it is on the ground, and that might cause some confusion. So that's why they're included as in an appendix on a zoomed out scale. But then we've included them in case people are using the electronic maps.
Okay,
It has to do
Mate.
with the accuracy of the location.
maybe it's me, but I find it confusing to have an appendix that's not on the maps that would show something different. That might be just me. So we'll no doubt be talking about at later hearings of a layer that says area of significant vegetation and habitats.
Yes.
Okay, any other queries? Thank you for that, Tina. That's very helpful. So I don't think there's anything else that we need to consider today. From staff and consultants' point of view, thank you for your input today, greatly appreciated. Keeping us under control. To Shakaya, well done. We're all learning and you've done well. You got us there in the end, so well done. So we will be adjourned formally until Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, notwithstanding that the panel is meeting tomorrow. So thank you everybody for your input, and we'll get ready to go out on a field trip. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Thank you.